So these are some of the key some of the key points that we have today. We're going to talk about components of women empowerment syndrome and also women empowerment and imposter syndrome. We have some facts and some issues about both of those topics. We also have a panel of 4 lovely ladies that will talk about women empowerment and answer some questions based on like just personal issues or just on in their field and their work that they are involved with. And then we have a conclusion of how we can fix this or how we can apply it to our everyday life. So first thing, what is empowerment syndrome? Women empowerment. Women empowerment is equipping and allowing of women to make life-determined decisions through the different problems in society. I really don't like this definition because I don't like the word allowing, because I feel like you're not allowing us to do anything, but we're going to touch bases on that. So this is the definition of women empowerment. 5 components of a woman need to be empowered. Sense of self-worth, our confidence about each other or just our confidence in ourselves, the right to have, and hold on 1 second, sorry. I feel like the right to have and to determine choices, the right to have access to opportunities and resources, right to have power to control their own lives inside and outside their home, and ability to influence direction of social change. So issues we face as women. Of course, there's many different issues we face as women. These are just some main ones that I felt like it kind of grouped different situations and also some examples under the main topics. So the first one I have is trapped in social and cultural practices. So such thing as like women belong in the house cooking and cleaning. Women are supposed to, be the family at home. Like women aren't supposed to work. In education, more representation as teachers and professors. There's times where you only see men professors, especially like in higher education. I feel like it's more men professors, whereas like in high school, elementary, you might see more women teaching. Also, economic participation and opportunities. So lack of women being in higher paid positions, whether it's corporate CEOs, such things as that. Inequalities in political power. We've only seen women as first ladies, none, first as president. So that's a big one. Also, if you guys have any examples that you want to share, you can put them into the comments or into the chat. So how can we change women empowerment to make it an everyday life? Like, whereas the definition said that women empowerment is the allowing of women to, be higher up, or the allowing of women to have power in society. So how can we change it? It's not going to change overnight. I feel like that's just anything in general. But education and training, starting off young, teaching women in the younger age about the empowerment and how don't look at yourself to compare to other women or just not to compare to men in general. Building self-confidence. I feel like that's something you're not taught. That's just something that everybody feels like it's just, you hear about confidence, you just automatically think you have it, or you just automatically start with insecurities or, doubts about yourself. Engaging youth, which ties back into education and training. Also building self-confidence. I feel like you can start that with engaging the youth. Economic inclusion. So being involved in the economic field in the area. Creating an enabling environment. Same that goes with engaging the youth. So having that like supportive group or that background that helps you believe in yourself, that helps you feel like you're empowered to be a woman, whether it's in your workplace or just at home in general. And change in attitudes and relationships. I feel like this is my favorite one because I'm a person that I feel like your attitude says a lot about yourself. So if you feel like, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, I don't think I can have that job, of course you're gonna believe that. And then relationships. So building relationship with women that does have more confidence in yourself versus like comparing yourself to them and it's like, I can't, I don't like her because she feels like she's better than me, or I don't like her because, she is the CEO. So changing in attitudes and relationships, I feel like can start a change to all of this. But of course, it's not going to change overnight. Also, if I'm going too fast, just let me know too. Okay, so this right here, of course, if we were in person, it would be definitely bingo, but it's not. So we're gonna just look at this, take a few minutes to look over this, and it's just saying how many times can you say bingo? So, read a few of them across, diagonal, or just up and down if you want to, and just put in the chat, which I can't see right now, but just put in the chat, or you can turn your mic on and say like how many times you feel like you could say bingo, or either you could share like a list of the ones that you felt like really applied to you. So I'll give you guys like 5 minutes to like look at it.
I feel like one of these that really stands out to me is the I focus on what needs to be done rarely than what I have achieved. I think that is one of my biggest weaknesses. And I resonate with almost all of the statements on here, which is a little terrifying. But that one I think definitely stands out to me the most.
Definitely. And if you don't want to read like a list of them, you can like you can just read like the one that stands out to you the most.
One thing that I tend to always do is I'm a big self-doubter. So even if I accomplish things in my personal life or in my professional life, I tend to talk down to myself and not think that it's enough, and just don't think that my successes are worth celebrating, because there's always more to be done. So I really resonated with those boxes.
One that sticks out to me is downplaying when someone pays me a compliment. I really get uncomfortable when people give me a compliment and I'm like, oh no, you're great, and try to throw it back at them.
Yes, that's definitely.
One that stuck out with me is the same. I always downplay when someone pays me a compliment, and I'm still failing at pleasing my parents, because I feel like I still have to have their wishes or their like approval of when I do stuff.
Definitely. I know I actually didn't look at this last one, but it says I always revert to being a child around my siblings. I realize that when I'm here, I'm just like about my schoolwork. I'm focused. I'm in my room. My friends can tell you, I'm like always wanted. I feel like I have to always be doing something. But as soon as I get home, I don't want to cook. I don't want to do dishes. Like I'm here on vacations. I want to bother my siblings. I have one little brother, like one boy. I want to bother him all the time. And it's just like I'm a child all over again. So I definitely did not see that, but that's me, definitely. Anyone else want to share before we move on?
I would say that anxiety and stress affects my performance. I have such bad test anxiety. It's just, I know the material, but as soon as I take the test, my mind goes blank. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't do it. So yeah, that definitely gets me.
Definitely.
And then Dr. Drummer also shared in the chat that she feels that there's never enough time to get caught up. That's one that I know, definitely working on campus, we all can feel at this moment.
Yes, especially for online classes, I feel like something to do every day, something different every day. Okay, so thank you for reading out the comment, Haley. I cannot see the comments at the moment, but so the reason why I put this bingo in here is because I feel like we all apply something to our life from it. Also, this is some of the things that hold us back from being our true self or being empowered. And it's also leading into our next topic, which is imposter syndrome. So imposter syndrome. So this right here, the little picture in the corner really made me feel comfortable with everything, because it says the green is people who get imposter syndrome, the orange is other people who get imposter syndrome, and the blue is literally everyone else that also gets imposter syndrome. So at some point in life, we've all had imposter syndrome, or we will have imposter syndrome, and it's okay. So what is imposter syndrome? So this term was coined by psychologists Pauline Clant and Susan Imes in late 1970s, describes as a set of beliefs that has us feeling like we're frauds, in some way lacking or unworthy, we don't deserve our success. It's only a matter of time before people find out. So, that lack of confidence, the insecurities, we just feel like, it's on our sleeves. Like, as soon as people see us, they see it. Like, it's just what we feel, and it's not exactly, what's going on. So denying imposter syndrome. So imposter syndrome is believed to be most prevalent in underrepresented and disadvantaged groups, which I felt like was a good way to put it with the women empowerment topic, because I feel like women empowerment are very underrepresented and a disadvantage to, as society. I feel like we look at it as like we're, equal, we belong here, but in society, I feel like we're not represented like we should be. 70% of the entire population has experienced it. It is possible to have symptoms of imposter syndrome such as social anxiety, self-doubt, lack of confidence, and negative bias. So when it comes to social anxiety, when you start, not believing in yourself, or you start comparing yourself to others, it puts you in that position where you cannot connect with other people, because you feel like, I don't see myself being friends with them, or I don't see myself, I don't think I can talk to them. Like, I feel like they're too high up or something like that. So it puts you in that position where you can't even make friends, because you're doubting yourself so much that you can't even make friends, or you can't even have natural conversations. The lack of confidence and negative bias also. So good news is you are most likely to be a higher achiever, more likely to try to improve yourself, more likely to be liked by your coworkers, less likely to indulge in risky behaviors. An excellent company that also have dealt with imposter syndrome is Michelle Obama, Neil Gaiman, Neil Armstrong, and Maya Angelou. So I hope these are people that everyone knows. If not, I feel like we can research afterwards. But once this slide is talking about once you overcome imposter syndrome, not necessarily like dealing with imposter syndrome like in the midst of it, because in the midst of it, you're not thinking that, oh, I'm a higher achiever, oh, I'm better, oh, I have a good relationship with my coworkers. You're just always negative. So once you overcome this, then that's when you become a higher achiever, because you dealt with the lowest that you could be, or you dealt with the, insecurities. You've been able to deal with the insecurities where someone says something out the way, you can deal with it better, because like, yes, I know I'm like this. Yes, I know I do this. So it's not going to be like a shock to you when someone else says it to you. And you're less likely to indulge in risky behaviors, and more likely to be liked by your coworkers and also peers. So strategies to handle imposter syndromes in leaders. And these necessarily don't have to be in leaders, but I look at everyone as, having leader qualities or some type of leadership. So you can apply this to your everyday life. It doesn't have to be, in the work field as being a leader or, a CEO or anything. So self-affirmation technique. Giving yourself credit where it's due, embracing your insecurities. So like I said, like knowing what your flaws are, you don't have to know all of them, because I feel like everyone has flaws that's, unseen, or we're still living life. So you have flaws that you've not known that you've had. So embracing the ones that you have and known about, whereas you can deal with life better. Building a support system, whether it's your colleagues, your family, your friends, professional development and involvement. I feel like this is a big thing with me. I know I am a person that I stay to myself, but I have a great support system where if it's something I want to do, or if I feel like, I want to, like when I went to go take this position as a leadership consultant, I talked to my friends about it, and I was like, oh, I don't know, because being an athletic training student, it's like, you're just always busy with athlete stuff. You're always busy, and there's no time to actually get involved on campus. But as soon as I did it, it's like, I'm doing workshops where I'm meeting people all the time, and it's getting me engaged. So building that support system of people that support you in whatever you want to do, even if it does not work out for you. Professional and development involvement. Effective routines and rituals. So staying organized and planning, reflect on each day and the accomplishments. Don't dwell. So with the stay organizing and planning, some of us believe in having planners or believe in having like agendas, writing stuff down. Other people have their own routines and rituals. Reflect on each day and the accomplishments. Don't dwell. So like the first one, giving yourself credit. You know, if it's something you did good, or just, you know, at the end of the day, you know, taking a breather and looking back like, okay, yeah, I took this exam, I did good, but it might have been that little quiz that, you know, that made you mad and it took over your whole day. So don't dwell over like the little thing, but, you know, giving yourself accomplishments where it's due. And then a mental shift from negative to positive. So speaking about yourself using positive terms, finding ways to improve your work, your life, balance, and step away. This is a huge one to me personally. A mental shift from negative to positive. I always say like the power of death and life is in your tongue. So whatever you speak, like whatever you put out in the universe, not saying it is to come true, but you're just like not even giving yourself a positive base to even start with for it to become true. So whatever, you know, if I want this job, I'm going to say when I get this job, or, you know, just speaking positive, like not even always, you don't, if it is negative thoughts that you have, you don't have to put it out into the world. Finding ways to improve your work and life and balancing things. I feel like with this one, that's where you're staying organized and planning, when you can just write everything down. Like, it doesn't have to be, oh, I have to do this at this time, or I have to do this on this day. Just taking time out for yourself, getting everything that it is that you need to do, but at the same time, taking time out for yourself. And this is just a picture on the side that kind of goes with like your support system and who you have. Like, they're my family, they have to say that. Or they're my friends, they have to say that. They're strangers that I work with, they have to say that. So if everyone's saying that, clearly, you know, you're fit for that position. So not letting that negative thought of yourself affect you. And that's where social anxiety comes, because you feel a certain way by yourself, but it's everybody else in the world is saying good things about you. I feel like I might be going too fast, but everyone let me know, please. Or I can slow down, you can ask me questions about certain things also. Okay. Sorry. Someone say something. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So now we have our panel questions, which is my excited part. So on our panel today, we have our Dean of Students, Dr. Talia Farrell-Drummer, our Sister Circle President, Cameron Stevens, CSI Associate Director, Megan Factor-Page, our Technical Territory Manager of Parker Hannafin, Ali Stanley. So I have questions. I'll read the first questions. Everyone can answer, but we can do one at a time. And if you don't feel like sharing, you don't have to answer either. Okay, so first questions. What does women empowerment look like to you?
I feel like you should call on us because it's awkward, you know. but since I unmuted myself, I guess I'm also volunteering myself. So for me, I feel like there's so many moments that many of us can point to where we felt either broken or tore down, or, you know, where we were just discouraged by other women. And it's very, very disheartening to have those experiences. So I feel like empowerment, not only is it empowering for you to do whatever it is that you put your mind to, that you want to do, regardless of any gender barriers or normatives, but that also you have other women who uplift you and encourage you and are excited for you as if it's their own. You know, the whole Yes Sis ministry, like that's me all day. And I think that's something that's often missing. But when you get it, it's such a breath of fresh air.
Yes, it is.
I definitely want to piggyback off of what Dr. D said. That's how I see women empowerment. My little group I got, like, we're so supportive of each other. Those, like, my sisters, you know, we're always like, go for it, even when we don't feel like it. So they're actually the ones that push me to actually apply to be the president of my organization that I'm a part of now. So without them, like, I wouldn't be in this position. I wouldn't be talking to y'all. So, like, definitely, I feel like having people that's in your circle that's going to support you and uplift you and bring you to, you know, a better version of yourself, that's women empowerment to me.
Thank you for that.
I'll go ahead and go next. So for me, just a little background. I went to the University of Akron and studied engineering there. And now I am a territory manager. I do technical sales for Parker Hannifin, which is a very large engineering manufacturing company in Northeast Ohio. And it's a very male-dominated world that I'm in. So for me, women empowerment is just focusing on supporting other women. The company I work for, we have an organization called Peer Women, or Peer W, and all of the women that work for my company get together on a monthly basis.
I think we lost her. Okay, she's back.
I dropped off there for a second. I got disconnected. Apologize about that, everybody, but I'm back. So just to wrap up, empowering the women that are around you, but also empowering women that you don't know. So seeing women that are not in your circle, maybe that are in different organizations, and just supporting them and letting them know that they can do it, or giving them any access or support and assistance to do what they want to do.
I'll just say briefly, I think it's about equality and equity, but it's also about understanding women's unique needs. There's a lot of layers because we're complex. So I might need more confidence while somebody else needs more resources, as an example. So I think understanding that just categorizing as women to empower them is not always necessarily enough.
Thank you for sharing. Okay. Next, sorry. Next question. Who are your personal icons of empowered women and what sets them apart? So, Cameron, we'll go with you first.
Let's see. Can we have somebody else answer it so I could think? I really don't.
Yeah, that's fine. Megan.
Yeah, I can go. So I think I've shared my personal shiro about 100 times, but Brene Brown is like one of my shiros. She is an author and researcher. She's done a lot of research in the area of shame and vulnerability, and even comments on imposter syndrome. She's a contributor to the research field of women's empowerment, which I think is really largely needed. Because if we don't know and understand people, we can't really make improvements. So I think that's why this sets her apart a little bit, is that being a researcher, she contributes to some of the mysteries of this, or some of the help that is needed.
Thank you. Dr. D.
So the funny thing is, I have a list. Like, I have a laundry list of women that when I see them, I'm like, girl, yes. Like, it's hard for me to pick one. And I know when we talked, I gave you a few of them, but like, one first and foremost is my mom. It's not cliche, it's genuine. I remember her working her way up and getting promoted and then hit a glass ceiling because she didn't have her bachelor's degree. And feeling defeated and having to go back to school and finish her degree. And she stopped because she was helping her family and just got really comfortable. And when she couldn't get a babysitter, I had to go to class with her. And I remember being 8 years old, watching her walk across the stage. And I tell her now, like, my vantage point of college started at that point because I got to experience parts of it with her. But then when you go to like my famous icons, like, okay, I definitely love Beyonce. I know, again, I'm not in the Beehive. I'm Beehive adjacent. You know, I pay membership dues, but I love her. I love Michelle Obama. I love Angela Rye. Like, I love the complexities that women bring. Like, when Angela came to campus, was almost 2 years ago, I was pregnant. And it was on my due date. And I was like, please don't let me have this baby because I want to see her in person. And I even got a chance to ask her a question, and just her tenacity and her ability to be genuinely who she is just something that stands out to me. But then also, like, call me what you want to call me, but Khloe Kardashian is my girl. Like, if I had a chance to be her friend, I would definitely do it, because I always find it very intriguing and yet impressive how much of your life can be put in front of a camera and you still manage it and balance and find a way to still live in your truth, because I think she's one of the few that's not tainted, regardless of that. And I like how, like, legit she is. So you see a theme, all these women who have had some kind of challenge or struggle and found a way to push through. But Tracy Ellis Ross, like I said, the list can go on for me.
Thank you for sharing. Allie, I don't think you shared yet.
Yeah, I did not. So hopefully I don't get disconnected again. But for me, it's similar. My grandma was my first personal icon. She was a stay-at-home mom and kind of fit the bill of the stereotypical woman back in the 50s and 60s era. And then once she got all of her kids into school, she went back to school and got her degree to be an elementary school teacher. And she would babysit me over the summers and we would play school, and she really taught me the importance of education from a very, very young age, and just showing me what I could do if I pursued education and really dove in, kind of how far I could go. So she was really the start. One of my more recent icons, though, someone that I've been following, is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC. She is just, I love her. She is a rock star, and she is a great example of, if you set your mind to something, you can do it, and you can truly change, and help change the world and make it better for everybody else around us.
Definitely. Thank you for sharing. Cameron, we can come back to you if you thought of anything.
Okay, so I don't really have like a lot of famous iconic people I kind of look up to. I would have to say my mother definitely is a woman that inspires me, you know, that really wants me to make it out in life. You know, I was a single parent household, so watching my mom, you know, take care of me, you know, always providing for me, even though we didn't have it, she would always go out of her way to make sure I was okay. So like me coming to school is me getting this degree for both of us. You know, I'm coming out here and I'm making it for me and my mom. I'm trying to, you know, make sure she okay. She makes sure I'm okay. So she's definitely a woman that makes me want to just go out and be a better version of myself. You know, I watched her work hard for what she got. So I work hard for what I got, you know, even though every day, you know, school be kind of doing a number on me. I be like, I got to do this for my mother. I have to get this degree for my mom. So that's a woman that kind of inspires me.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Okay, next question. How can we normalize the power of women in society's everyday life and in the workplace? So, Ali, we can start with you first.
Okay. So for me, it's really, I believe it starts with me. So if I am the best version of myself and I prove my worth in this male-dominated field that I work in, it's going to start changing opinions. So when I go and meet, actually, for example, today, I went and had a few customer meetings, and I could tell when I walked in to this first manufacturing plant. The maintenance man that I was meeting with was shocked that I was there. One, because I'm young, I'm pretty new into the field, and two, because I was a woman. And then I was giving him solutions to his problems and talking about kind of what he could do to make his plant better. And his whole tone shifted probably halfway through the meeting. So I think all of us have a responsibility to prove our worth and show what we can do, what we know to start as women in the workplace.
Definitely. Thank you. Dr. D.
I co-sign with what Allie just said too. You know, really, it makes a difference when you can normalize it amongst yourself. So like when people have those moments and they're like, whoa, you know, you don't have a whoa back to them. It's like, yeah, and then just keep it moving, right? I think it also helps, you know, that graphic of, you know, well, I'm going to pull you up and then you're going to push me up. And then it's just like this cyclical motion of women continuing. The opposite of what crabs in the barrel is. If we can continue to encourage, promote, mentor, support, educate each other in the midst of all of that, and when you find opportunities to keep that in mind, it always can make a difference in just giving someone a seat at the table and watch how the table enhances and grows.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Megan?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I feel like I can use my own privileges to empower other women and give them some opportunities. I think voting helps to get women into positions of power politically. I think that is a helpful strategy as well. In the role that I work with in student government, I participate in a program called Elect Her. We know statistically that people that participate in student government are more likely to feel compelled to run for local, state, and national positions. So therefore, enabling women to get involved at the college level also can impact representation in political, you know, decision making. So I think speaking up when you feel like something feels ooey is the word that I like to use, the scientific word of like, that doesn't feel right. That feels pretty discriminatory, speaking up in some of those instances. I'm also notorious for like processing my ooey feelings with other women. So I think telling stories, sharing stories and experiences are helpful too, because it's like, were you feeling that in that room? Because I was feeling that. Like I, you know, had a conversation with a colleague the other day that I was like, I think I experienced being gaslighted. Like, I think I've been feeling terrible all day. And that in that instance, I think my feelings weren't, you know, validated. And so that was really, I like being able to talk with other women about those experiences. And I think that helps.
Thank you. Cameron, I don't know if you shared or not, but you can. How can we normalize power of women?
I would definitely agree with what everybody else said. Definitely having, you know, that person that like women come together and just talk about how they feel and stuff like that, and just be there for them, for each other in the workplace. I feel like having other women working together is definitely something we need to see more. We don't really see a lot of that. I know Beyonce, she definitely wants to have a lot of women, you know, on her tour, you know, on her band, doing a lot of stuff in the background. I feel like we just all have to work, you know, there's other women in that field that can do the same thing that men can do. And society makes it to like men is the best at everything, but it's really, you know, we're kind of better than them and we get treated less bad, like less than the men. So I don't know. I agree with everybody else.
Thank you. What motivates you as a woman in your workplace, your current workplace, or your field? We can go with Megan first.
My answer is pretty simple for this one. I feel like mentors in my field have motivated, women mentors in my field have really motivated me finding mentors that I can relate to, or that have had a similar background or story to me, or even ones that are like way different. That's motivating.
Cameron?
Definitely having women that have the same, like, similar stories as me, and, you know, just looking for that person to be their friend and their sister type of thing. Like, yeah.
Ali?
So I'm kind of going to go back to my little short story there, but it really motivates me when I prove that I know just as much as a man, if not more, and can essentially, for me, it's providing solutions for my customers. But when I can help them, when I can show what I know, it's really motivating. And bouncing off everybody else, I also have a mentor who's been in the field for 20 years, and she's been absolutely killing it since she started. So it's really nice to have her to lean on, and talk about her experiences, because she's been dealing with this male-driven field for much longer than I have, and talking about things that she's gone through and how she's handled certain situations has been really helpful.
Thank you. Dr. D?
So I'd be remiss if I didn't say this probably resonates more with me, my intersectionality as a Black woman, more than anything. You know, I've shared with a few folks, and it's not a brag thing. It's more of a, like, we made it to be the first Black female dean of students at Kent State. Carries more of a weight, and as well as a driving force than I can really put into words. And I realized that to be a first means the best thing you could do is to make sure you're not the last. And so being able to feed into other women and encourage them, especially our women of color who just feel like they just don't belong, and that intersectionality is often silenced, especially with today's events, you know, making sure that I keep going, and honestly for y'all, for our students, because without y'all gassing me up every now and then, I don't know if I could keep going, because this job is hard. It's really hard.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. What is the best way to deal with gender imbalance, whether it's in the world or just in the work environment? Ali?
So for me, again, I like to take personal responsibility. So for me, I take it on head first, and whatever I can do to build up women around me, whether it's participating in something like this, talking to women that are younger than me and telling them what they can do and what it takes to get to where they want to be. I think it's the best way to build it up. Supporting younger women, so helping them get the education that they need, whether that's volunteering or assisting in educational programs. I think that's the best way to start.
Thank you. Megan? Sorry.
Well, I mean, I think this is one of the reasons why I got into the field that I got into is, you know, creating more equities for students, specifically with women. So any opportunity I have to uplift others and put them into a lane that's going to help them take off is really important. And I feel like I try to play a part in that role anytime I see opportunities for my students that are women. That's the perfect way to do it.
Thank you. Dr. D?
So I think gender imbalance really presents itself very differently depending on the circumstances. And so it's like one of those, like, yes, and like there's so much to consider. There are moments where when you deal with imbalance is to survive. And I'd be lying to you if I didn't say that there are moments where you are just in the space and you just need to survive the moment before action can be taken. And that in itself is still strength, because you're still there. You're still managing it. You're still pushing through it. And I don't think we put enough into that to show that there is strength in that. You know, sometimes you just feel like, I didn't do enough and I didn't say enough. Well, sometimes you don't need to in that moment, and finding that time to take care of yourself in the midst of that is important. And then when you do have the moments and the opportunities and the strengths and the chances to speak up and say something, but that is exhausting work. It is tiring to be in spaces where you constantly have to speak up. So I say it's a little bit of everything, because you can't be the warrior one alone, but you can't be the warrior at all times, because then you won't make it. Burnout in a lot of our career fields is very real, and that's one of the reasons why. So sometimes self-care and granting yourself some grace is going to be one of the most powerful things you can do in those moments, because you are setting a standard just by staying there.
Thank you. And Cameron.
Y'all definitely be hitting the mark every time y'all come to me. I don't even have anything to say because y'all just say everything.
Okay, thank you. So does anyone have any questions for our panelists? We can ask. No.
Is it okay for me to ask people questions? I know I'm on the panel, but I'm curious. One, this is a fantastic panel. I love the diversity, the experiences, where everybody is. I mean, this is great. So congrats, kudos. But I'm curious, especially as women sitting in this space, being invited here. Obviously, there was something that, gave attention to lead for us to be here. What has been one of the most impactful moments, either in your education, your career, even your personal life, that has gotten you to this point?
I would say, so like last year I joined my org sister circle and I was the treasurer. And then I was just working hard. Me and my friend Alexis Smith, we were just working hard. And our director, Mike Daniels, he was talking to me. He was like, yeah, Cam, I hear you about to be VP. I'm like, am I? I don't know. So December comes around and Ashley Williams, she was like, yeah, Cam, you're going to be VP. I was like, oh my God, yay, okay, cool. So, I'm VP, just, doing my thing, whatever. So Mike's like, yeah, Cam, we really need you to be president. You work hard and I see your work ethic. It's like, you do things that you don't even have to do. You were a treasurer and now you about to be president of this organization. Like, this is a lot. Normally, I don't really give myself props for what I do. I just do it just to do it. So I don't really notice what other people notice. And Mike saw the greatness inside of me, and I didn't see that in me. Like, I was just like, why does he want me to do it? Like, I just stand in the background. And he was like, no, you have so much potential. Like, you need to go. You need to do this. You need to go and show people that you're capable of doing this. So I'm here, and I feel like that was something that really pushed me, because I don't really push myself to do things because I'm always the background person. So this was something that kind of took me out of my shell. I'm kind of nervous, I don't really do this stuff. So that's something that kind of impacted me a lot.
I'll go ahead and share. So I'm going to share an experience that kind of led me into my career. So I went to the University of Akron for my undergraduate degree, and I was fairly involved on campus. Like I said, I studied biomedical engineering there, and going in, I had this idea that I was going to be an engineer and do product design and all of these different things. And I'm originally from Akron, Ohio, and I am a huge Northeast Ohio fan. This is home for me, and I never wanted to leave. And I was offered a job with a company that I did a internship with throughout my time in undergraduate. And it was in Akron, Ohio, and I was going to stay and just keep on trucking along with my plans. And then I went to my school's career fair, and I met a pretty cool women in engineer there. Her name is Lori Schmidt, and Lori actually ended up being my boss. So she told me about all of the potential of being in technical sales and kind of taking that route in engineering, and really opened me up to what it looks like to not sit at a desk and be an engineer, but kind of use the interpersonal skills that I had gained from being in different on-campus organizations like fraternity and sorority life, our school's alumni association ambassador program, and just utilizing all the skills that I had built up in undergrad, and stepping outside my comfort zone, essentially. So I took on the role, and it was a full year of travel. Well, that was the plan before the pandemic, but the first 6 months, I traveled across the US from Los Angeles, California to Boston, Massachusetts. I was in a different city every week, which was way outside my comfort zone because Northeast Ohio was home and I was just going to stay here forever. So having that experience and really just listening to other people, listening to other women, and all of the different possibilities that are out there in the world and taking the consideration was a huge moment for me. It really impacted my whole future, essentially, because I was going to stay here, and I was able to kind of open up my eyes and see what's out there in the world. And I ended up back in Northeast Ohio. So my home base is now Cleveland, and I travel throughout Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, and Western PA. So it's been a really great year and a great experience, and I recommend that everybody take a step outside their comfort zone at times, and see what it can bring to you.
Any more questions, or anyone want to answer Dr. D's question?
I have a question. So something that came up last semester when we were actually interviewing for the student leadership consultant position, we asked the question, what do you feel like people need to talk about? What workshop should we be doing? And the idea of imposter syndrome came up with almost every single woman that I interviewed. And I mean, it's normal in a sense because I feel it and I hear about it quite often, but I think I was a little surprised to hear about it from students ranging from freshmen to juniors. So my question to you all would be, what advice would you give to an underclassman that's feeling imposter syndrome and is afraid to take that next step in a leadership role or to address inequities? Like, what advice would you give to them?
I would like to answer this question, actually. Although I was asked during my interview, but me personally, I feel like when I started here at Kent State, I always knew I wanted to do athletic training. Like, I did sports medicine in high school. I always knew I wanted to do that. So coming in freshman year, you hear that athletic training is not for women because it's like time consuming. Women are to start families and everything like that. So I'm like, no, I'm still gonna do it. I did it in high school, I can do it. I met all of my friends from freshman year. They were in the program. Come sophomore year to apply for the position to be into the program, none of my friends made it into the program with me. So now sophomore year, I'm the only Black girl, I'm the only Black student in my major. So now I look back at it and I'm still the only Black student, a senior in athletic training. So I don't have I still was comparing myself like, oh no, I don't know if I know I wanted to do this, but I don't know if I want to do it right now. Like maybe I can push it off and do it, grad school, because, it's not for women. Like athletic training is not for women, maybe they can work in a clinic, be a nurse or something like that. And I just always had that, in the back of my head. But my friends that didn't make it into the program or people that I've known, Black and white students that I've known that apply for the position of the program and didn't get in, they're like, oh, you still in it? Or you got it. Like, just keep going, keep pushing through. So just having, like, when I talked about, again, having that support system, like my mom is always on me like, oh no, girl, like I'll be like, oh mom, no, I can't. She's like, no, you're gonna do that. It's not an option. Everything is not an option to her. So I was just like, okay, I guess. Like even applying for this position, when I first talked to Megan about it, I remember the same day, I was like, she told me you have to have a certain amount of hours. I was like, oh my goodness, I gotta work here this amount of hours and I have to do clinicals. I'm not gonna be able to do it. Then I came for an interview. They said I got the job. I'm like, okay. Arkeela was like, just relax. Like, I'm just an overthinker. As soon as I hear about something, I start overthinking. So just just having that support system and stop self-doubting yourself and thinking, like comparing. I always compare myself to people, not to people just in general, like, oh no, I don't think I can do that. Like, no, like even when I'm still in class to this day, I'd be like, okay, so they did that. Like, I don't think I can do that. So having that support system, I say, not self-doubting yourself is a big thing. I feel like a lot of us, how we find our insecurities is because we self-doubt ourselves so much, or we listen to other people say stuff about us and what we can or cannot do, and just not giving our full potential into being who we truly are. So I would say that's a big thing. I would give advice to underclassmen is whatever it is that you feel like you want to do, just go for it. Just go straight for it. You know, it's going to be some days you don't ace a test. Some days you fail an exam. It's just going to be that one little point that gets you from not moving on to the next step, but still, you know, just go for it. So just, and having a good support system, a great support system, whether it's in your friends, whether it's in your classmates, whether it's in your family, just having that person or people that you can just rely on to tell them what it is that you're going on. Sometimes I call my mom just to hear her, you know, tell me the same stuff she tells me every phone call. I just call her sometimes just to hear it. And when she don't say it, I cry, but sometimes I just do it. So just having those people you can rely on and, you know, speak your truth in, I would say is a big thing for me.
Jess, this is not scientific, but this is my methodology sometimes is I play a game with myself called worst case scenario, best case scenario. So if I like get into a situation where, let's hypothetically, if I apply for a new job, I think, okay, what is the worst possible case scenario? What is my biggest fear in this instance that could possibly happen if I apply for this job? Like, the people that review my application are going to laugh at it and they're going to think it's hilarious and they're going to say, oh my gosh, she is so underqualified for this position. The best case scenario would be I get the job. People are super pumped that I actually applied for it. I, you know, get the salary that I want and whatnot. And 100% of the time so far, from my personal experience, again, not scientific, I have never experienced the worst case scenario. So usually I lie somewhere in between, and more likely than not, it's pretty close to the best case scenario. So if I speak that out loud, or if I talk to a friend about it, or if I play that game in my head, that has like kind of helped me get over the hump of like some of the fears that I have.
I'll be happy to add to that too. One of the greatest imposter syndromes I had was on October 1st a year ago, my first day of Dean of Students. I didn't understand why Dr. Hilton asked me. And when you're appointed versus a committee of people selecting you, there adds more question to it. So I would say one is that helped me is one asking why was I selected? Why did you pick me? Like trying to get more information. But the other piece is talk to people that you admire and ask them about their story. That'll give you a nice little reality check that it's not linear, that they don't have it all together and all figured out all the way up to this point. You know, I tell people bits and parts of my story, and the more that I open up to folks, they're blown away. I mean, I applied to grad school in Miami and got denied. It was the only school that I applied to, and after crying for 2 hours, I had to go on my computer and figure out where I'm going to go to school and who had applications still available, because I had no idea what I was going to do, and graduation was literally weeks away. It's, you know, there's moments where there's been places on this campus that I've applied for a position, made it to a finalist position, and was turned down and had to face that in front of a lot of people that I knew and a lot of colleagues. But everything works out. Hindsight always, always works out. And I'm thankful for that. But a piece of that is embracing a fail, right? So it's one of those, like, don't get the thought or this perfectionism mentality that you're not going to fall, you're not going to fail. And maybe that worst case scenario does happen even after you get the job or after you get the internship or after you get that moment. But those are some of the greatest learning lessons that you can have. And if you don't give up, that's what separates the folks who actually can keep going and are successful versus the people who wallow in that moment and never, ever thrive or grow from it.
Any other questions or want to answer just a question? No. Okay. So this is just a little quote to leave everyone with. Women represent more than half the world's population, and gender inequality exists in every nation on the planet. Until women are given the same opportunities that men are, the entire society will be destined to perform below their true potential. So just let that, sink in a little bit. And okay, so I appreciate everyone for tuning in to our discussion today. I feel like this is a big topic that we don't speak on, but we know that it's needed to be spoken on. I appreciate our wonderful panelists for answering the questions and providing your information and your answers. Definitely appreciate that. And since I do work for the Leadership Center, I'm going to tell you some of the announcements we have for upcoming events on our schedule for this semester. So, of course, our Kin Talks. Kin Talks is a program that's designed to provide a place for discussion and transformational experience for our students. Topics have covered race, microaggression, politics, and gender, sexuality, intersection with faith. So our next Kin Talk actually is tomorrow. We will be speaking about racial injustice, which is a big thing we're dealing with right now in the world, and just especially on our campus, if you haven't heard within the last few weeks. So this is tomorrow from 4 to 5:30. Jess has sent out a newsletter, I believe, that has the link to engage in this Kin Talk, which is through Zoom also. And this is, it's attached to the newsletter. So if you guys get our newsletter, this is attached and it has the ID and passcode. If you don't get the newsletter or you want to be attendance, at the end, you can just ask me to leave this back up and I'll just leave this screenshot up. So these are some of the other workshops we have upcoming. On October 1st, we will be talking about achieving balance as a student leader, which will be ran by our other leader consultant, which is Andrea. October 13th, we'll be talking about generational leadership, which I will be hosting again. October 28th, we'll be talking about organizational change, which will be hosted by myself, Haley, and Andrea. And then December 1st, we will be talking about developing your personal leadership philosophy. So lessons in leadership. This is kind of like a workshop or like a question thing we do, but it's on our Instagram page. So if you do not follow us on Instagram, I ask that you follow us at Kent State Leads. It's noon, so we've already had the one with Megan. It was September 10th. So our next one will be October 8th with Dr. D, who was in here. Then after that, we'll have November 12th with Joshua Belami. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. And then December 10th, we will be talking to Tiara Moore. And then last but not least, our collegiate leadership competition creates a dynamic practice field where students can apply what they're learning in a context that stretches them to boundaries of their leadership knowledge, skills, abilities. The collegiate leadership competition makes leaderships a real tangible experience for future leaders. So if you are interested, you can register for this course to 2 credits for spring 2021, so next semester. And this is just a QR code that has 5 questions about this workshop. It's just your feedback, which is appreciated, so we can know what we can do better with any of our workshop or how you felt about the workshop. I do appreciate everyone for tuning in. This was my first solo workshop. I was definitely nervous. I'm still a little nervous. I appreciate everyone for engaging. It made it so much easier to talk and to get it flowing better. So I do appreciate everyone for taking time out. We're online, so it's not the best. It definitely is better in person, but I do appreciate everyone. Thank you again, Cameron, Ali, Dr. D, and Megan for being willing to take time out of your day to join in and answer questions. I do appreciate it. I don't know if Haley and Jess have anything to say.
No, I think you summarized it very nicely. So thank you all for attending. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to stay on. We'll hang out for a few minutes. But other than that, just go ahead and send us an email if you have questions about our future events, and we look forward to seeing you all again soon.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
You too. Bye. See ya.
Thanks for
Bye,
having
Martina.
us. This was fun.
Thank you. Thank you.